one other issue we need to talk about, because it's something that's coming to the fore. It's been reported in Spain that the European Clubs Association is working with the leagues to try to get this across, to try to get the players to take a pay cut. As far as I understand it, that's not true, not yet. Anyway, I'm sure they would like a pay cut, but what we've had voluntary situations. Barcelona players supposedly willing to take a little bit of a pay cut to help their club. I'm sure others will come forward. Jules, what do you think? It's a difficult situation, because I slightly struggle with this, because you've got certain football clubs that are owned by bazillionaires who have made a ton of money off this and whose clubs are profitable and will remain profitable. And they frankly don't need employees willingly saying, like, yes, boss, let me go and take a pay cut.
Yeah.
You've got others who clearly do need it. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. In France, for example, we've had what they call a part-time unemployment, which means that clubs will only pay 84% of the players' wages, and the rest will be paid by your pension kind of thing, to help clubs not having that huge wage bill for some of them to have to pay with no revenue coming in, pretty much, which I think is a good idea. I don't know how much this will help really, but I think it's a good idea. I would like to see, personally, more players going forward and say, you know what, just pay us 50%. For some of the clubs, at least in the top flights in every league, it's enough already for them to go, you know what, we're going to take 60% or 70% or 50% of our wages, and the rest can go into a fund, like we've explained last week, maybe for lower league clubs, for lower league players who will really struggle, then for sure will struggle with no income, or with the clubs with no income coming in to pay the players. We said Barnett, for example, took
Right.
some decisions last week. I think that would be a good idea. We can't speak for all the players, and some are already given a lot to charity. We see some of the Bayern Munich player, the Kika Corona, with already a big fund of money that a lot of players like Joshua Kimmich, for example, have given, and a few other players in Germany have given as well to that fund to help people around them, and not just other football players, but also normal people who, for example,
Right.
who have been infected.
But I mean, I think that's a more, like, I think individual charity giving is one thing, and people are free to do that. I think I agree with you. I just don't want. I think it has to be case by case. I have a real problem when there are companies that are hugely profitable, that basically, to maintain their share price or to maintain their profit margins, ask employees to take a pay cut when it's not, strictly speaking, necessary.
Yeah.
There's almost two issues here. There is a cash liquidity issue, which applies to the lower divisions, because they may have cash coming in down the road, but they're not going to have it now, and that's fair enough. I think the grown-up thing to do, and I kind of feel like the PFA, and if you're listening, Bobby Barnes or Gordon Taylor, we'll happily have you on here. But I think this is when they need to start thinking about a voluntary fund. Premier League wages, I think in total, are about $3 billion a year.
Yeah.
So doing some back of the envelope maths, if everybody voluntarily put 2%, every Premier League player put 2% in there, for example, you would raise £60 million immediately. And if you put that in like an interest-free loan with strings attached, of course, to help out lower league clubs that have urgent cash issues right now, I think that would help. But I think it has to be coordinated. I don't think it can be forced, but you can certainly urge people to go and do stuff like that. One other thing, Jules, should we? And I'm gonna leave it up to you. You're the moral arbiter here.
Go on.
Hans-Joachim Watzke,
Yeah.
the chief executive of Borussia Dortmund, last week he came out and he said, well, why should clubs that have been responsible and put money away for a rainy day, why should they go and cross-subsidize clubs that have been profligate and irresponsible? Right? So he sounds like mean-hearted Hans-Joachim Grinch, the mean German.
Yeah.
But now he said he's taken a 35% pay cut on his annual salary, which, he doesn't make as much as Lionel Messi, but the dude makes 1.8 million euros a year, supposedly. Yeah. And he's taken a cut of about, 600,000 out of solidarity. So you want to show him some love?
Yes, let's show some love. I mean, he clearly listened to us last week when we slaughtered him for his stupid comments. So then he thought about it and we're like, maybe Gabs and Jules were right. And yeah, maybe I should do something else. And good on him. And like we said, I think more people, more sporting directors, more CEOs, whoever can, and you don't have to give all your wages or half of it. You can just, like you said, 2% sometimes is enough for certain cases. But I think we should all, and you and I as well, and everybody, we should just all chip in and help the ones who need it the most, because there will be people in that position.
I think, what I think the really difficult thing is, more broadly, and again, I mean, we say something this applies to everything, but we'll say this through the football lens, because obviously this is a football podcast, is a lot of people want to give something or are willing to sacrifice something of themselves if others are going to do it too. But I think where they're really uncertain of is, how do I do it? What is the most efficient way? Which way will benefit most people the most? And, in some cases it's a local hospital. The other one, maybe you go and buy masks. Your buddy, Mr. Pino from Caring, with the luxury brand dude. Like,
LVMH, yeah.
All that is great. But, I want my money to go further. And this is why I think an independent body, and I think whether it's FIFPro plus a bunch of sports lawyers or accountants, can't really be a league because they're servants to their owners, should come out and say, okay, for every country, we're going to have this kind of fund, we're going to have these grants available, they're going to be based on this and that. If you want to contribute, this is how we're going to spend it. We're going to have everything accounted for. Clubs can apply for it, and it's going to be in an intelligent, targeted way. I think this is something that should happen now, because make it voluntary, let those people put their money in, and then when it's going to be used properly, it's not just going to be used, to help a wealthy owner who he doesn't feel, who's taking a hit or whatever, So it's actually targeted. I think that's essential.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.